Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's our favorite time of the week. We're taking a look at the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. All right, we're gonna start things off this week with our latest exclusive, one of our latest exclusives anyway. The RMJ Tactical Korbin Karambit is one of the latest models in their lineup to now be available with S45VN blade steel, which is really cool. Made in the States, price on these $215, and the orange and black G10 handles, Knife Center exclusive on this particular model, and I think it's a material that just tends to always look really good on these kind of menacing tactical designs like this one. There's a little bit of fluting on that G10 diagonally to give yourself a little bit extra grip. Feels really cool. Really like the steel selection there. It's one of the most well-rounded stainless powder metallurgy steels on the market right now. Edge is left a little bit more thick, a little bit more robust for kind of heavier cuts rather than being a more precision slicer. But you can see by the degree of the scratch pattern that is or is not evident there, nice and highly refined and very, very sharp. Now all the edges of the spine and inside and outside the ring have been chamfered, so you're not gonna run into a crisp corner there, gonna be very comfortable. I like the section of jimping that they've given here on the back near the ring for your thumb to rest on. Feels really good, just feels like it's gonna give you a positive engagement when you're kind of pointing at that blade. And then if you're gonna flip it around and use it, forward style, it's a little bit of jimping there for your thumb at the back of the spine as well. Now, as for the sheath, rather than going with something like a tech lock, which you could use, they went for something more low profile with this kind of X-shaped piece of Kydex with four sets of hardware screwing it to the Kydex sheath proper. Gives you two different directions your belt can run through this, either horizontal or vertical, although in either case you're dealing with kind of 45-degree angles or thereabouts anyway. But put it in whichever orientation works for you for quick access, and away you go. All right, we'll keep the tactical train rolling for a little bit. New Bastinelli Creations Montana. These are one of the knives made in Italy by Fox Knives. Price on this about $300. And what you're getting is kind of a cross in a way, especially with a name like Montana. You think he's kind of leaning into this, kind of a cross between a Bowie knife and the K-bar, like the Mark II fighting knife pattern right here. Blade length, about 6 3/8 of an inch. We've got N690 steel, and it looks like about 3/16 of an inch thick. Good deal of toughness with this particular configuration like that. Saber height grind, flat geometry on that grind itself, and you've got the dual fullers on each side, and a pretty distinctive clip point to the blade itself. Gives you a very acute tip, and something a little cool looking too. Combo edge, as you can see back here, and the rest of the plain edge itself, again, another knife finished very, very finely indeed. Now the handle here is actually slightly rubberized. It's not a hard plastic right here. Tang length does go pretty much all the way through, I think. Let me check here. Bet you didn't know you could use an Olight to check the tang length on hidden tang knives. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of resistance even this far back, right in front of the lanyard hole there. I don't want to use that as a judgment point since it could be magnetizing off the lanyard hole itself. But in any case, tang pretty much running the full length of that handle. Feels really good. You're going to get some shock absorption and of course some protection from the cold if you're using this with bare hands in that type of environment with that type of handle construction. And in terms of a tactical / outdoor knife, or a tactical knife that crosses over into outdoor use, this type of guard construction or design, I should say, I really like. It's not too aggressive on the back. It's not there at all on the back, so you can choke up with your thumb, get behind the spine with your digit right there. Not too much in the front to get in the way, but you do have some finger guard protection and even a couple of little pinch grip points on this guy as well. Sheath on this guy is Kydex, and we've got a DOTS compatible, or a DOTS, or what's the word? Thomas?
What do I look like, a thesaurus?
No, you look like a tall hillbilly.
I'll take that.
All right. Clip. Yeah, that's clip. It's similar to a tech lock. It's got the same kind of hole spacing, but a different method of actual snapping closed. So you can carry it like this in the vertical position, but you can move it around, carry it horizontally if you wish. Plenty of options right there for a very cool knife. All right, next up, this is probably the most newsworthy thing this week. We have some new folders. These are the Woodsmonkey banana peel friction folders, and they're folding knives made by LT Wright. How cool is that, guys? Obviously, of course, LT, most famously known for the bushcraft fixed blades they make. They've done a liner lock folder that hasn't seen wide release, but these friction folders right here are the first to be kind of released out to dealers out there. And we at KnifeCenter are proud to be the first dealer to be able to unveil these cool knives. Pretty cool concept behind them. They've got, well, let me take you through this particular version first. This is the banana peel EDC, and it gets its name from the shape when it's closed up. You can see right there, pretty cool. Opening up, we got a 2.5-inch blade, which in this case is A2 steel. Nice tough tool steel with a full flat grind, very versatile. And this is the banana peel EDC, which means it's got 1/8-inch handle scales. In this case, snakeskin micarta. We've also got red linen, orange G10, and green micarta at this point. And the G10's 115, all the micartas I think are 110. And Woodsmonkey, if you're unfamiliar, they used to do reviews back in the day. It's changed hands a few times. LT has owned it for a few years. And they were trying to decide what else they could do with the site. And they decided to start, designing and marketing some other outdoor gear besides knives. But they're knife guys too, and you can take the knife guys out of the knife shop, but they still wind up designing knives. So the story goes that this design actually happened a little bit on accident, but now it gets to be like the premier debut product from them for us. Now, I mentioned the banana peel EDC. Eventually what they're going to be doing is releasing different versions of this with thicker handle scales, with different blade shapes. And the beauty of this is it's a modular friction folder. You're going to be able to change these out to your heart's content. If you want, you like these handles, you want to have a few different blades, there's going to be blades available standalone. If you like the blades you have and want some different handle options, you're going to be able to buy the handles standalone as well. Because it's very simple construction, just screws together with these three, essentially Chicago screws, and away you go. Downside of that, these can move a little bit on you. There's no Loctite in these because they want you to be able to take it apart, so just watch that as you're using it. But man, these EDC ones are really cool. They fold up very slim despite having a big handle going on. Slip right in your pocket, no problem. Opens very easily. They feel good. They feel really good. But let us know what you think of these knives down there in the comments. Let us know what other blade shapes or steels you might want to see, because think of it something like Spyderco's Mule Team, or their Mule series a little bit. We might be seeing the same blade shapes in some new experimental steels from the LT Wright and Woodsmonkey crews. That's gonna be pretty cool too. Next up, let's go with the new versions of the Rat 3 from Ontario, where they've taken the Rat 3 handle, the classic handle shape you all know and love, and we've got some new blade styles for it. The first is the Caper. It's like $67. Sharpened edge on this is about 3 inches, and you're dealing with carbon steel. I believe it's 1075 in this case. Not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure it's not 1095 in this case. With a blackened coating for rust resistance. Nice deft little shape here. It works really well. A lot of capers have this type of shape, but I feel like they're a little bit smaller, so I was a little worried that this might be a little too much, but it still feels very nimble to me. Still about, what are we, like 3/32, closer to 1/8 on the blade length itself, or blade thickness itself. Feels pretty good. Sheath on this guy. Simple and classic, yeah, that's the right one. Simple classic leather right there. Next up, we have the Skinner, which in a way, it sort of reminds me of like a modified Ulu shape in a way. This one comes in also $67. Same micarta handles, same carbon steel, same coating, just this kind of shape right here. And it's a little bit unconventional. Where I really see some cool potential with this shape, however, in addition to actually being used as, a skinner, as they're suggesting, modifiers out there. This is a nice, almost square blank canvas to design your own blade shape on this guy. Have a little fun, do some mods. You can avoid your warranty, of course, so take that under advisement. And maybe even a little bit of food prep with this guy, especially if you come in and thin the edge out a little bit, maybe grind up on the blade. You could do a little bit of hacking on a cutting board, a little bit of rock chopping. You're not gonna be hacking branches down, but it's pretty cool. And next up we have, let me show you the sheath on the skinner first. Similar to that, that caper, except wide enough to accept the broad blade of the skinner with the snap for retention. All right, next up we have the Rat 3 Gobar, also about 67 bucks. And this one is kind of like the job site blade shape, I'd say, in a way. They call it a chisel tip blade, but the leading edge is not sharpened on these guys. You just have the single straight edge at the bottom. Wouldn't be too difficult to come in, might take you a little bit of time, but you could sharpen that leading edge. And I think that would make this even cooler because you could get in with those actual chisel usages. Otherwise, you're just dealing with a scraper out there at the front. Not quite sure about, or not quite convinced by the holes in the blade, but if you were getting up, it might give you a little bit of traction. Maybe if you're doing that chiseling stuff, your finger could kind of get some retention there, or get some, what's the word I'm looking for? Words today.
Grip.
Friction?
Also grip.
Also grip. But something, you guys know what I'm talking about, I think. I hope.
The word he's looking for is purchase.
It's not bad. We'll go with purchase. But there you go. Just a big sharpened pry bar in a way, although it's not super thick. We're still dealing with the same roughly 1/8 inch thickness, but a sharpened wedge. It's kind of cool. Black micarta in this case. Sheath, more kind of utility or utilitarian as opposed to classic leather. Just classic. Can we call nylon sheaths classic at this point?
Might as well.
Anyway, like it's similar to the nylon sheaths we've been seeing for 20, 30 years maybe, so maybe they're classic. Very useful, very durable, and inexpensive to produce too, so helps them keep the price down. I mean, it is impressive, I think, that they're putting these out still, brand new designs, made in the States here, 67 bucks. That's really not bad. Not bad at all. Let's keep the work knife trend going here for a second with the SOG Flash MT multi-tool. 70 bucks for this guy right here. And at that price, makes me want to check something. How much is a Leatherman Skeletool these days? About 75 bucks for the least expensive versions of those. So a couple bucks cheaper than that, or a couple bucks less expensive anyway. And in a way, it's kind of a similar, maybe you'd be cross-shopping these two. It's not quite the same, but offers kind of a similar complement of capability. Needle nose pliers with the standard plier jaws behind the needle nose and the wire cutter. You've also got a pocket clip on the guy. You've got SOG's compound leverage on the plier head, so you've got a lot of strength there. You've got also, if we close the tool the rest of the way, two things. You do have a cap lifter with screwdriver tip, non-locking on this though, so be careful as you're turning the screws. Then you also have a one-hand opening, assisted opening blade. And it's D2 blade steel as well, not just a simple stainless. They gave you some quality steel for a multi-tool format right there. Kept it fairly thin, so it's gonna slice pretty well. You've got a liner lock, not super thick there. It's kind of similar to the rest of the stamped frame there, but you've got the security of that, which is quite nice. Not too difficult to close. Lanyard point here. Pocket clip I already mentioned. And then what else does the Skeletool have? It's got the bit driver. You don't get the ability to kind of turn bigger bits, but you do have an 1/8 inch bit there in the handle. And when you close the knife up, you can put the bits right there at the end to do some turning right there. So again, not a direct copy by any stretch of the imagination, but kind of lives in a similar space in my mind in a way. Pretty cool. Like to see that very much. All right, next up, same price, about 70 bucks. We have a awesome kind of worksite utility knife here. This is the DoubleStar Brimstone, new version of this. with a new G10 handle color. We've got green and black. Looks really cool, and it's got a very accommodating shape for most hand sizes, I should say. Neutral enough while not being just a blob right there. There's certain knives out there, you may know what I'm talking about. But yeah, feels good, looks good. That blade, very great, very nice everyday utility shape. We've got D2 steel, 3.5 inches with that hollow grind right there, keeping things thinner behind the edge. But you've still got the meat of kind of this modified sheep's foot shape to kind of push through your cuts. Works well on a surface. You've got enough curvature. Well, the way the handles blend together, I should say, this kind of S-shaped curve, you get a little bit of knuckle clearance, and the way the tip here is oriented, it's going to work well cutting on surfaces quite nicely. Also important for a work knife, washers in the pivot, phosphor bronze here, no ball bearings. Still flips open really easily, but less susceptible to dirt and grit. Nice wide pocket clip, right side tip up only. A few extra ridges right here. These aren't going to pinch on your fabric too much unless you're dealing with like super thick clothing, but it will give you a little bit more purchase when you're drawing it from your pocket on your under your fingertips right there. Really cool. Other versions of this knife are also available with some other G10 colors. But those aren't new, so they don't make it into this video. But we'll leave a link to all of them down below. All right, we're gonna switch gears from kind of the blue collar working stuff to some more fancier stuff here, such as this James brand Carter, a new Damascus version, coming in about $219 right now. Now I just love this design. You guys have heard me talk about this before. Some kind of knife enthusiasts don't go crazy about this brand, probably because of their marketing more than anything else, but the designs I think stand on their own. 2 3/4 inch blade, you've got that Damascus steel. I believe they're using VG10 Damascus, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And you've got the ambidextrous thumb disc here for opening. You've got a crossbar lock. You can do the flick super easily. Not quite as easily as some of their bigger knives because you're dealing with a little bit less weight. Although some of the ones I've had of this size were a little easier out of the box. Maybe this one just needs a little bit of break-in period. Super clean handles. We've got black micarta in this case. Only 2 pinpoints essentially here at the back. Not a cluttered looking handle at all. Super clean. Nice deep carry pocket clip coming out the back end of the handle so it rides very deep. Neutral enough handle. You've got a sub 3 inch blade, but a very hand-filling grip all the same. Kind of hard to pull off. It's, there's no wasted space going on. See the way it folds up. Super, super classy. Speaking of super, super classy, ooh, this guy right here. Marfione Custom UTX 70 for $3,500.
Like upper classy.
It's super upper classy. But it's gorgeous. Oh man. We're dealing with stainless steel handles here, desert ironwood inlays on both sides of the knife, not just the handle, the blade too. Check it out. The kind of fuller that might normally be in a knife of this style has a desert ironwood inlay, and man, the fit looks so perfect. I mean, on a small knife like this, you really have to get every seam absolutely perfect, because if it's a bigger knife and you're off a little bit, it might not be as noticeable, but when it's this small, you're gonna notice any tiny little irregularity, and there is nothing here showing that off. I mean, it is perfect. Action is a lot of fun. You've got that mirror ground blade, double-edged mirror ground M390 blade here. Really cool kind of jeweling underneath the firing button there. Serial number 4 on this one too. Whew. Very, very impressive. Very, very expensive too. Let's climb back down out of the clouds here before we run out of oxygen.
All supplies last.
So we got the one, I think. I don't think we've got more than one. But anyway, how about another auto that's more attainable? The ProTech Godfather, recently restocked. Really cool knife here too. $210 for these, and it's the what I like to say about this series of knives, both this and the smaller Godson, is it's a modern, sleeker, svelter interpretation of like the classic Italian stiletto that might have more ornate quillions and all that sort of thing. It's that same form factor, just streamlined, just stripped down to kind of a bare, slightly angular essence, and I love it. 4-inch blade, 154 cm in this case. Interesting finish going on here. It's not quite a bead blasted. What are we calling? Oh, it is a bead blasted, actually. That's what we're calling it. And the clip matches it, and it's set off really nicely on this particular blue anodized aluminum chassis. Something a little different than the shiny or satin finished clips or hardware out there. Then, of course, ProTech action, as can be expected, and as can be exceptionally appreciated. All right, we'll stay in Fancy Town for a while. We've got a good number. Actually, I say a good number. We had a good number of these last week when they first came in, and they are dwindling rapidly. So these may or may not still be available by the time this video posts, but I want to show them off because we don't get a chance to show them off too often. Some Spartan Harsey folders. The first one right here. I don't even have the full specs on what they're calling this graphic in front of me yet, but 625 for this version with the Damascus blade. Really cool symbology going on here. I don't know if it's some like Illuminati stuff or something, but it looks cool. The blue accents really nicely. The feel of these frame locking folders is exceptional. Solid as a tank. Washers in the pivot here. It's kind of a similar kind of design philosophy to something like the Chris Reeve Sabenza. You can still flick these knives open without too much trouble though, if that's your thing. There you go. Flat ground blades. What are these, like 3 3/4 of an inch long, thereabout? No, almost 4 inches, sorry. Awesome. In addition to this, we've got Plague Doctors. They've been one of the surprise hits, honestly, of last year and the year before even. Man, when did they first come out?
I don't know. When did the shutdown start?
But we've got the Plague Doctor graphic on both large and small, the 3.25 SHFs. $500 for this gold anodized small right here. Expect these to go pretty quickly. You've got the virus there on the back, the big scary virus. And you've got S45 VN blade steel with a stone-washed finish for the blade on these guys. Really like the smalls. The larges are nice, but the small works. It's kind of, again, kind of drawing the comparison to the Sabenza a little bit. It's very hard to design a knife that works at one size and then just by virtue of scaling it down without changing the lines or anything, also working exceptionally well at the smaller size too. This one manages to pull that off. You may think it's easier, that concept, but it really isn't. We see it all the time where things get scaled down and it's not quite the same. You don't quite get the same amount of magic in the different size. This one though, I think you definitely do. If you like your gold frame lock, but you don't have $500 to spend, how about $100? Titanium frame lock flipper from Ontario. Bringing Ontario back into this video. This is the TI-22 Equinox. Coming in at $99.95. You've got the titanium, you've got S35 VN blade steel with that Tonto shape and the black coating. Nice, slim, everyday carry. Fairly deep carry, pocket clip 2 position, right side only, however. Frame locking, like I mentioned, pretty decent flipping action too. As far as I know, this is the only titanium frame lock flipper with a premium steel under $100. As far as I know.
He's the knife guy, he'd know.
If there's another one out there, let me know. At least not, there might be some of like the little miniature sized ones, but even some of those I think are right over $100.
Yeah, I feel like I remember something very small.
Yeah. But more of like a novelty size in a way. This is just, a good EDC size right here.
Unless you have really small hands.
Unless you have really small hands, in which case go for the small ones. Blade just over 3 inches. It's nice and sharp. The quality feels great. I mean, especially when you throw in that price, definitely worth it. All right, let's say you want a gold knife, but you don't want a lock. Phooey on a lock. That just gets in the way of cutting, I guess. Locks are good. Locks are very safe. But if you'd rather have a slip joint, check out this latest GiantMouse creation, the ACE Farley slip joint, coming in $165. For that, M390 blade steel, 2 3/4 of an inch long, and brass, stonewashed brass or green canvas micarta handle options. I like these a lot. And I like that on each of them, these aren't just flat handled scales. These are fully contoured. They're very comfortable. It's really kind of a 3-finger grip for me. My hands are slightly larger than average. It's almost a 3.5-finger grip. If your hands run a little, more medium to smaller, you might be able to get 3.5 full 3.5 fingers on there. Yes, I realize the humor in me saying it that way, but you know what I mean. Man, it looks like a flipper, but it's got that slip joint charm at the same time. Wire pocket clip, which is reversible for either side, and they've even given a nail nick on each side. So it is truly symmetrical from side to side. Really cool. $165 for the brass, $145 for the micarta. These are made, not made in Italy. These are made, I believe, by Bestech these days. Yes, they are. And I'm actually really impressed. I know Bestech does a really good job, but I'm not remembering any slip joints they've done. It feels up there with some of the Riot slip joints we've felt out there, no joke. Fit and finish is great, walk and talk is great, the crown spine is nice, and it's cool to see that since so many of the Italian-made GiantMouse stuff comes with crown spines. I'm glad they're carrying that through as well. You got your fancier brass version right here, your slightly more kind of workaday micarta version, if you'd rather not go with the heavier steel or the heavier metal of the brass version. Either one, you're getting the same great M390 blade with that full flat grind. That's just gonna work great. All right, next up, not brass, not copper either, but we've got a copper-like look on this steel wheel. Steel wheel? It's a baby wheel, Jay. We've got the steel wheel flipper. Wait, what's the name, David? The steel wheel Spica flipper. Sorry about that. A few different colors of this. They are aluminum handled with anodized finishes. I really like this copper version right here, and this guy comes in about $119. Blade shape is really cool. 3.4 inches, 154 cm steel, full flat with that black stonewashed finish. Bit of a hybrid blade shape here, I guess. I'm trying to look at the line. I don't know. Well, we can't call it a trailing point because it does drop back down, but the tip is almost at the quote-unquote spine line. It's got a little bit reverse tanto in it.
It's a harpoon tanto.
What do we call it on the website? Keep going. I should keep going back to that, huh? We call it a clip point on the website, which is valid. But this is one of those hard to classify ones. But in terms of actual use and actual, the way it's going to feel while you cut, it's probably more clip point than anything else, thanks to the amount of belly and the actual shape of the edge going on here. Blade steel, not too thick. Combined with that full flat grind, this is going to be a great slicer. Again, also thanks to the sweep of the belly on that blade. Doesn't feel super heavy despite the metallic look. I mean, 4 ounces, not too bad. Inset liner lock, which is pretty nice. Deep carry pocket clip for the right side. Ceramic ball bearings, I believe, yes, in this pivot. And great flipping action. Really cool. And a lot of the times, steel will do a washer-based pivot, and they do a great job, but they do a great job with their bearing-based pivots as well. Really cool. Very elegant EDC, especially if you go with this color. If you need something a little bit bigger while still looking classy. And speaking of classy, last but not least, we've got a kitchen knife from Shin Cutlery. This is the XinCraft Chef's Knife, 9 inches, $209 for this guy. And your money's not going to a super premium steel. You're getting 14C28N in this case, which I'll still argue is a fantastic choice for a kitchen knife, but the handles have received a lot of extra special attention. We've got octagonal rosewood with an actual buffalo horn spacer in between. It looks very cool. Each one, of course, can be a little bit different since it is a natural organic material. Very, very nice. And the blade itself is very, very nice too. In kind of the Asian style, it's kept super thin. The edge itself, I mean, shoot, just looking at it, it's just a whisper of an edge. You can barely see the bevel on it. This is a big knife, but it is a precision knife. This is not a hacking, chopping, smashing style of knife. This is about precision. Take your vegetables, as long as it's not something like too hard, and it's definitely a push cutter. You don't have a real rock chop shape to this. Really cool. Crown spine here. I really like the detail right here in front of that handle, where you've got essentially a little radius for your finger to sit, and that also is crowned there. Because when you get up there and you pinch right in front of that handle, which is the way you're going to want to hold this, that's where your finger is going to rest, and it feels phenomenal. Now, for the same price as this 14C28N version, you can get a polished Damascus blade. So it's going to be a little bit more subtle in its patterning, and that comes with a VG10 core. Same price, but I'd actually argue for actual use, the 14C is going to be a little bit better. You're going to have better edge stability, better toughness right there, which when you're dealing with an edge this thin, I would want that personally. Very, very cool. That's all I've got. Oh man, check out horizontal grain too. Not a simple machine finish going on. A lot of cool details going on here. But that's all I've got to show you today. Let me know what you thought down in the comments, and to get your hands on any of these knives, there will be links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. Make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program while you're at it, because if you're gonna buy one of these knives, you might as well earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas over there behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.